Well, hello there. How are you? It is so good to see you. Don't worry, I'm not hacking your phone. I can't see you through this thing. Or can I? I'm just kidding. Don't get paranoid. Don't get paranoid at me. Welcome to the Self-Consciousness Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Way. And on today's episode, Germaine and I talk with Delanie Fischer, who is the co-host of the enormously successful podcast, Self Helpless. Obviously an inspiration for this podcast. In addition to being a professional podcaster, unlike myself, Delanie is a business simplicity coach, helping high-performing entrepreneurs and executives restructure, tweak, and grow their businesses and passion projects by utilizing minimalism. Delanie is all about creating business that fuels your life, not business that sucks the life out of you. And Delanie is fucking hysterical. We laughed so fucking hard on this episode. It's no surprise that she spent almost 7 years as a stand-up comic. So I'm so excited that you're joining us today. I hope you laugh. Don't cry. We'll see you inside.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Germaine, this is Delanie.
Hi, Delanie.
This is Germaine.
Hi, so
Hi.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's so nice to see you in
I know it's so nice.
person.
I've obviously seen photos of you and videos and stuff, but it's like nice. Yeah, it's nice to see you talking to me with your face.
I'm looking at you, I'm talking at you with my face.
Yes.
I'm so excited. We were just talking about Germaine's nail polish.
Ooh.
Excuse me. So,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So it's so okay, I know we're not visual. So what I've done, like I've always been curious about nail polish, and like I grew up like really just loving like the names. Like I remember telling someone like, oh, if I could work for a nail company and just create the names, like right. So like recently, so it has to do with like just mental health and this thing called building a ladder. And you just take small stuff like colorful things, or if it's like little miniature things that you like, and you put them around you. So like when you're in you're down, you look at them and it brings you up. So the colors for me, I love colors. Jen knows, like when we worked together, I would come in with pink shirts and a pink jacket.
Yeah.
And these colors are Gem and a Hologram inspired.
Ooh.
I don't know if you know the cartoon from the 80s.
I do not.
So it's all right.
Gem is truly outrageous.
I'm like Googling it right
I
now.
know.
Right.
Oh yeah, I totally know what
Totally.
Right. So it's a band. Is a like a cartoon is based on rival bands, and Jim.
It's
main
like the
character.
punk rock Barbie,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
See, I
and
wish
they-
I would have known about that.
It's
I had
really
no
cool.
idea that existed.
Yeah, and they have like different colors. So Jim is pink. Her sister Kimber is red. So like basically these are all the colors. So long story short,
So creative.
just like it's a little stressful time right now. So I can look down at my hand and think,
I
oh,
like it.
feel
It's a
inspired.
pick me up that you take with you everywhere.
exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
I love
I'm
it.
also trying to get some more tattoos this year. So like
There
I
you
need
go.
I need all the
Adorn.
visual inspiration. Yeah.
I love
Anyway,
it.
Love
It's a
it.
hot
Thank you.
tip. That's a good
I
tip.
know, right? Delanie, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you on. You are a simplicity coach to entrepreneurs, business owners, and podcasters. You are I'm telling you this, not anyone who's listening.
I am.
You are. Just letting you know. She is the co-host of the top charting comedic self-improvement podcast with millions of downloads, Self Helpless. Obviously an inspiration to this podcast.
I love it.
And she
Great name.
recently launched a new podcast for entrepreneurs, business owners, freelancers, and artists called Ep19. We'll have links for that down below. And this podcast has been frequenting the top entrepreneur charts since episode 1. And a couple of fun facts: in her former life, she was a stand-up comedian. And she is a social media free business. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you both. This is very cool. Love the name of your podcast, the concept, what you're doing with it.
Thank you.
Approved.
Yay.
Thanks.
Yay. I mean,
Yes.
I know you because I was an internet weirdo who stalked your Instagram. So thankfully,
Thank
before
God
you,
did.
yeah, before you left social media, so that was like a good, quick thing, and we have worked together, and gotten to know one another. And I think you're awesome and amazing. And I want you to
Likewise.
tell us a little bit about just kind of who you are, what you do. I know we just kind of talked about it a little. I gave you the spiel. I want your spiel now.
Sure. First of all, you're an amazing coach, Jen, and I loved working with
Aw.
you. You're absolutely brilliant. So anybody listening, check her
Agreed.
out.
Oh,
So what do? I'm a professional podcaster, co-host of the Self Helpless podcast, and I'm a business simplicity coach. I basically help entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs increase their revenue, their impact, but most importantly, their free time so they can actually enjoy their fucking life
Yeah.
and their success and give back in the way that they want to. By the way, can I swear on this show because I just did?
Yeah.
absolutely. We are not safe for children, and we are fully explicit here.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's what I do. And yeah, my former life, I was a stand-up comedian for almost 7 years. I got out of stand-up when I realized I was really unhappy. I did not like the lifestyle. I didn't like the trajectory of the career path. And so I figured out a way to kind of be a stay-at-home comedian for a while by launching a gag gift business called Dicks by Delanie, where I would hand paint penis caricatures on coffee mugs. And
Love it.
long story short, we ended up scaling that business. I hired some cartoonists. We went digital with the product, and we got to basically dickify all kinds of fun people, celebrities and
Dickify.
influencers and all that, turning them into cartoon penises. So it was a really good time. And that led me to being a business coach, basically.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, all it takes is a couple of dicks, right?
Exactly. One
mean-
good dick is all you need.
I love those. I was like, I love that you have been able to touch on and sort of master anything that you've kind of like been focused on. But I do want to ask you, because I've always just kind of been curious. I don't think we've ever talked about it, but I want to know, how did you get into stand-up comedy? Like what was, and like, when did you know that that's kind of like what you wanted to do for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, great question. I didn't know it was something I wanted to do. It was actually not my idea. I was really strongly encouraged by a lot of friends when I was younger. And then one particular friend, one of my very good friends in college, kind of like tricked me into taking this like theater class with her and said, "Oh, it's going to be an easy A. You should come join the class." And little did I know the final for the class was performing an original monologue in front of a live audience, which she left that info out because she knew I would not have joined it with her. But she just kind of said that she saw something in me and thought I would be really good at it. And that final that I ended up writing was basically stand up without me kind of realizing it. I was making the crowd laugh. It was a piece about like my parents and me and all that stuff. And a lot of other people were doing beautiful, like dramatic pieces on the stage. I was like basically cracking jokes. So somebody from that show saw me perform and invited me to perform with the student, like at the student stand-up comedy show they did once a week, which of course I knew about because I had been going as a fan since my freshman year of college. So that's kind of what started it. And then that same friend pushed me to like perform at that show. I didn't want to do it. And then the rest is kind of history. It was kind of snowballed from there. I started performing all the time. I got into my first club and moved to LA after college and, just immersed myself in the comedy scene.
So you were basically gaslit into
Yeah.
becoming a comedian.
Yeah, it was not my idea. And yes, strongly encouraged.
Strongly encouraged.
Well, how great is that to have how great is that to have a friend trick you into that and to make you land into a new career? Like,
manipulated into my first career path is kind of, I feel like a lot of people have that story, right? Whether it's friends, family, whoever it might be. Yeah.
I mean, I love that. And I think I've mentioned this to you personally. I feel like women, like comedic women, whether it's a performer or not, are the future of the world. I feel like that's how divine feminine has got like one aspect of kind of like moving things into feminine. Like you know how I roll.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because I was watching so the Self Helpless podcast had an episode on performance anxiety.
Oh,
and
yes.
and I was just thinking about like sweaty pits and like that. I'm like, I'm always
I have them right now.
me too. Yeah, I'm like I loved that you were like, oh, maybe at one point, and I was like, oh my God, this is so I'm like, I'm not an armpit shaver. Like I'm very much like
Ooh, you're one of those people.
I'm one of those people. And it's kind of like you like, I don't mind like, it's like farting. Like, I don't mind farting, but I don't want to smell anyone else's farts. Like, I'll be really proud of it. And then like with armpit hair, I'm like, yes. But like when I see other women's armpit hair, I'm like, ooh, like for a second, it's weird.
Yeah. So you're cool with like getting high on your own supply, but nothing, nobody else's shit. I get it.
Exactly.
It's funny. I see, like, you just said like you don't shave your armpits, and all I see is just like trees in your background. It's like, yeah, I picture you just in a forest somewhere squatting, and it makes sense to me. I think it goes with the all
it really does.
energy.
I do feel like it's an energy thing. I'm like, why would I like, I had to suffer through being a redhead as a kid, which was a good thing. Whatever. Okay, I'm into it now, but it's like, you know, that shit's red. Like I like to keep it out. It's kind of like, woo.
Yeah, I just married a redhead, so I'm
That's
a big fan.
Right. I was gonna say congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yay. Thank you so much.
Delaney literally, and when I was talking to Chris about scheduling, I was like, she was like, oh, that's a bad date because she gets married that date. And I was like, oh yeah, obviously, you know. And she's like, what about the week after? I'm like, no. I'm like, let's give her a couple of weeks. And I know you, and I know you're like right back to it.
I know, you know, it's so hard because I love what I do, and it's hard. It's so funny because I find myself like, I can kind of get into like compulsive working mode. And it's weird because I used to do that because I hated my job and I wanted to work my way out of it. And now that I'm here doing what I love, I still find like, oh, I'm working when I don't need to, but I fucking enjoy it. So it's like hard to take breaks because I get excited to come back.
Did you do a honeymoon? Did you do one?
We did like a weekend elopement, basically. So it was kind of like a little honeymoon ceremony combination, but we're going to like do some like little weekend trips and stuff.
You're like, let's make this efficient. Let's put this into like one.
That's exactly what I did. Everything was just like, right. It was all done on like one day. We had an officiant come out. We didn't have to do shit. We signed something. We were married. Everything was like within 5 minutes. I mean, it was so simple. I loved it.
That's amazing. Like, that's exactly the kind of, I'm like, that's the kind of wedding I want to, that's the kind of wedding I had. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Super. Just get it done. Like that.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So just kind of going back to that point about internet weirdos, I was doing research. I was looking up stuff. I was like, well, what can we talk about? I'm like, I know we'll find stuff to talk about, but have you ever heard of something called Wikifeet?
Oh my God. I have heard of that only because I'm apparently on there.
You're on it. There's a profile. It's a wikifeet.com/Delanie_Fischer. I'm sorry to say.
It's so weird.
It's fascinating.
It's just so people are rating my feet. I mean, like, it's just, I don't even know how I found out. I think I found out from one of my co-hosts and friends who are both on there as well. Yeah. And I was like, oh, good thing I'm not like famous enough to be on all that crazy shit. And then I looked at my name and I'm like, oh my God, my feet are on here because they're associated with your feet.
Oh my God. Holy crap. That's like by association. I mean, like,
yes.
Internet weirdos by association.
Is that a paid site or is it? You said wiki, right?
I think it's like Wikipedia, but for people's feet, like people with foot fetishes. And like, luckily, the first time I checked, I had a pretty good rating. So I was like, okay, I don't
got a good rating. But it's got a good rating. I'm gonna add
Oh, no.
If you guys can give me
I'm
a
gonna add
5-star
a
rating and
star.
review, that would be great.
So everyone, if you can, please. She has 5 stars for beautiful feet.
Don't
I'm
rate
not
my
logged in.
podcast.
I'll have to
Please
figure
rate
that
my
out later.
feet.
Put the link in the description.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Shoe size, not set. Birthplace, United States.
8.5. 8.5 shoe size. If anybody's wondering, wants to fill out my Wikifeet page. Like, it's crazy. The pictures, like, people scoured social media to find pictures of my feet. I mean,
Wow.
I didn't even think I had pictures of my feet on the internet. Apparently, I did.
God. How this is something that we have talked about, and I've also touched on with other guests who have achieved a level of fame, notoriety, breadth with a D. Is that how you would say it?
Breadth, yeah.
Breadth.
Yeah, I think
A certain
I haven't heard
exposure.
anybody use that word
know, that's-
since 1800s, probably.
I love my old timey lingo. Like how has it been so far? Like, I know that you and I had talked about it a little bit, but it can get a little it can get freaky.
You know, it's weird. It's a weird here's the thing, because when we started the podcast, we were
It's almost
just
5
friends.
years now, right?
Yeah, it's coming up on, oh God, I don't know if it's 4 or 5. I can't remember. It's one of those. I think maybe coming up on 4 years.
Yeah.
We started just because we're all good friends and we really enjoyed talking about personal growth and mental health and self-improvement stuff. And we started at, like, our kitchen table and, sharing 2 microphones back and forth, not thinking anybody would be listening to that shit, and so we didn't start it saying this is going to be listened by millions of people. Be very careful what you say and how you say it. And so it was a weird kind of experience as the show was growing, getting listeners and fans and people who really feel like they know you really well, because you are being so vulnerable on this platform and you're sharing a lot about yourself, and you're sharing thinking that nobody's going to be listening. So you're sharing even more than you probably would have,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning. And so I think it's been kind of a balancing act, or like, I feel like it's just been this interesting dance of like being vulnerable enough for the show to help people, but also protecting ourselves with, not sharing too much to where it negatively impacts us or our personal lives.
Yeah.
And I think it took a couple years in for us to really grasp what that meant for all of us individually. And everybody has kind of set boundaries in very different ways. Leaving social media was a huge boundary that I set for myself. My co-host Taylor is no longer on the show. That's a boundary she has set for herself. And so we're all kind of figuring out what it's going to look like for us being having a somewhat public job, but also being kind of private people wanting to maintain that too.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It's not something I set out to do, Yeah.
It's also interesting, kind of like that process of kind of creating something like this and going through the fact, like, and I almost want to come back to that whole performance anxiety thing. It's like, I almost feel like I'm in labor when I'm kind of stuck and I know there's something I have to do, or like even an episode of this that I have to kind of put out. And then once I've done it, I feel like relieved. I'm so happy. It's like I've expelled the demon. Like, I need to like get it out, and it feels good. And then same thing, like I realize like I definitely talk like a lot, and I talk a lot about like personal stuff, and Germaine and I had to do the same thing where we were like, okay, what are our safe, like, we'll have a safe word, but our safe word is safe word.
Perfect.
Right?
Perfect.
There's no misunderstanding.
Can't be misconstrued. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, like I've always grown up like very private, even like within my family. So like the idea of doing a podcast, and then like, oh, like there's a lot of things I could talk about like with family, with people I know, but do I want to put that out there? Blah blah blah. So like, yeah, like I think every episode, I try not to like I try to, edit myself and
Yeah.
kind of think about what do I want, even if only one person listens to it. What do I actually want on out there forever? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good for us, we've just kind of learned, like, if we just make it about, us and our personal experience and what we want to share there, and really be mindful about telling stories about, other people. If somebody else gets brought up, they remain anonymous. We are very compassionate when we talk about the situation, those types of things. But it's weird because on the other hand, it's possible the show wouldn't have grown so quickly if we weren't like oversharing in a way. So it's like this weird thing, like, oh, I wish we could kind of go back and withhold some shit. But then we're like, well, what if that kind of led to why we're even in this position in the first place? So
True.
it's been a very strange mind fuck, to be honest. Like, it's been very weird. And the publicness of being a stand-up comedian, that was a huge reason why I left stand-up. Is I did not want the life of a public figure. I kind of saw the trajectory of what that was. I was around a lot of people who had that level of success, and it just didn't feel right for me. There was a lot of other reasons I left too, but that was a huge component. I got a stalker very early on, within 3 years of doing stand-up. And so I had a lot of those experiences very quickly, some scary situations on the road or walking in my car by myself at night. Like, I had those very early on. That was like, I don't think this is going to be a road that I want to take. So when we started the podcast, I was like, oh, so much better. This is not going to be, this is not going to put me in that type of situation. But it almost was like, oh no, more people actually know about you and have access to you than if I would have maybe just stayed performing in person. So yeah, it's kind of weird how it worked out.
Yeah. It was just meant for you to be out in the public.
I guess so.
Can't escape it.
Can't escape your destiny.
Yeah.
No. And we all know, I know what that is. I'm just kidding. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, if you can send me some tips about.
I know, right? You can take a left after you take a couple of steps, and then maybe a right, but then you're on the road towards destiny for sure.
Yeah, great. Perfect.
Yeah. I know that I've heard you talk about this, and we have also talked about this, is this like desire to like live in a commune. And it's so random, but like I watched do you know who Khalees is? The singer Khalees, like my milkshake, known for milkshake.
Yes. Oh my
I just
gosh, what a
literally
throwback.
juggled
Yes.
my boobs because I really thought that would help. You remember? I don't know if it did. But Khalees is like, she's a chef now. And she is, and I saw like just a video that she put on Instagram of her like home, like her stead, like it's like a farm and it's a garden, and it's like, she's like, so we're thinking about putting the olive tree over here, and then we're gonna put the duck pond over here, and she's like full on like doing it, and I'm like, that's the dream. And I was like, oh, I wanted to send that to you because I was like, this is, and I've heard you talk about like, I just want to go live on like a vegan commune in Costa Rica, and like, let's do it.
Yeah,
that's my question.
If that was more accessible, that's where I would live. Like I now have like a husband to consider and stuff, but if I
you're like, God, already 2 weeks and he's dragging me down.
But honestly, I was actually just having this conversation with somebody. I was like, if I was single, I think I would have left by now. Like, I think I would be living some kind of more alternative lifestyle, more so than what I already do is pretty alternative. But I would love to live in some kind of sustainable community or neighborhood or whatever that might be. And like, oh my God, having like a homestead and stuff, that's so cool.
I know.
But it's still it's still growing. It's still like, oh, you gotta, like, the one I found is like in Belize somewhere. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to live there anytime soon. But it's like, how about Burbank? Can we do something in California maybe? And we can, some kind of little neighborhood. That would be great.
It's so funny though, because I was thinking about it. I was like, well, maybe we have to create something around where we live that's can sort of be representative of something like that. I was having like a big moment about that like over the weekend, because I was like, there's a bunch of so I live in Jersey City, Germaine's in Newark. Don't stalk us. Just kidding. Not like there, it's very dense. No one's gonna find us.
Okay, I'm in
but-
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Nobody can find me. It's like an entire country out here.
I know, right? So, but like there's in Newark, there's like a bunch of so you know it's city, so it's very like jam packed. All the houses are right next to one another, but there's a lot of like farms or like urban farming like popping
Mm.
up where people are just kind of converting whatever property they have, or even buying the property next door and just like converting it into farms, like
Yeah.
full on farms, and they're
Wow.
regenerating the soil, and like they're doing all that stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe it's just a matter of doing that. You know, we can still get like Amazon to deliver the seeds and stuff. Like,
Right. Right.
it's kind of not
Nice
ready.
happy medium.
I
Yeah,
know.
like if there's somebody building homes out there that are completely sustainable, and you know, you can live off your own like energy source and shit, and have a backyard where you can grow your own vegetables, that's the kind of house I would want to invest in.
Same.
I don't know where
Yeah.
that's happening, that feels accessible, but if anybody knows anything, please email me.
Please, please. I
Yes.
like, she is at delaniefischer.com.
Yes.
It's you know, like I was talking to somebody about how like I'm so pissed off that like the school system is just really crappy, and like they're learning stuff that's like, my daughter's social studies textbook is from 2001.
Yeah.
Might
wow.
want to update that, guys.
Yeah.
And like I was like,
or add
they
like
need-
real history of what white people have done. That would
Ex-
be really helpful.
that would be
you know?
amazing. Like,
Good
yeah,
Lord.
exactly. I was like, my kids need to be learning how to convert our exercise bicycle downstairs into a machine that creates electricity for this house. Like that's what they need to be
Yeah.
learning.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because it's possible. Like I
Yeah.
just kind of almost want to homeschool them and be like, okay, we're gonna figure out how to like convert everything into like sustainable, or like, you know, like I want to generate my own electricity through exercise bikes. Like how hard can that be? Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Oh my God. I know
Yeah.
it's tough because like when I left school, I felt like my learning truly started when I left college. And then, you know, everything that I do now, of course, school played a role. You know, I learned how to like write and things like that. That's been helpful. But everything else has been very independent, courses and just things that even in school, things that you're told are like the opposite of the truth. And I felt completely, you know, lost with
Yeah.
and like untrusting of systems that are in place. So
Yeah.
it's been I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about the educational system
Yeah.
myself as well.
I mean, that's another reason I love you. But like one of the many. I know it's like a random one. But what school did you go to? What was your major?
Yeah, I went to UC Santa Barbara, which is a beautiful school and campus. I lived on the beach, so I sound like an asshole for complaining.
No.
Didn't learn enough things. But I studied religions of the world. I went in as an art major, and then realized I didn't really want to learn like art theory and stuff like that. I just wanted to make shit for fun on the side. And
Yeah.
so I was just undeclared pretty much the whole time, and started just taking classes that felt interesting to me. A lot of my friends were like taking business classes or doing marketing and stuff, and they just didn't seem very happy. And I felt like, well, if I'm going to be here learning stuff, I might as well, you know, I get to pick finally what I learn. And
Yeah.
by the time my junior year rolled around, I had like a meeting with a counselor. They're like, so you're going to pick a major? It's like, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I have a hard time kind of picking one focus. And they said, well, you have a lot of religious studies units. Do you want to just major in that? I'm like, I don't know. You can major in that. Sounds good. Sign me up. So
So
that's
take
how-
one.
That's how I picked my major. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you have like a foundation in religious studies.
Yeah. And I loved it. I loved learning about different cultures, different people, religious beliefs, traditions. And my plan, actually, before I found stand-up, I wanted to go live in India for a while and just like, you know, basically experience a lot of the things that I had been learning about. And yeah, then I basically kind of fell into stand-up, and things kind of changed. But I was I was trying to figure out how I could use that background. And a lot of people, they go on to law school or they become a professor, or, I thought about like working for a nonprofit, or I learned how to read, write, and speak Punjabi in college. It
Wow.
wasn't good,
Oh
but
my
I was learning that language, thinking, well, maybe I could like use this and work in like some kind of CIA program or something. Like
Oh my
I didn't know what I
God.
was doing, dude. It's all over the place.
That's freaking amazing.
Yeah. So Punjabi, that's the language like how long did you study that? Like,
Um,
can you still speak it?
just about a year.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I really loved my professor, and I ended up taking the reason I took that class is because I took like Sikhism 101 with him or something,
Mm.
and really liked him, and so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take a language before I graduate. That sounds fun. And what was happening is I was doing pretty well, like learning how to read and write it, because a lot of the other students in my class were Indian students, and their parents were from India and stuff like that. And so between the languages that they may have were speaking at home, a lot of them knew Hindi or Urdu or these things. And so they were getting confused with the Punjabi like alphabet and stuff like that. Where for me, it was the first time I was ever learning this kind of language, and so I was picking up things relatively quickly but having a hard time pronouncing things properly. I
Yeah,
was like,
Yeah.
it was a really interesting experience.
Do
that is
you
cool.
have you retained any of it?
Not much. I mean,
Oh,
I can say basically, hi, my name is Delanie, or like hello, like Sat Sri Akal ji, ki hal hai, mera na Delanie ha, but that's pretty
Oh
much
my
it.
that's
God.
yeah, that is more than I retained from my 2 to 3 years of Spanish class. So like
Oh, yeah,
that's
Spanish
awesome.
was hard.
Right, yeah, right.
Spanish felt harder to me than that. Yeah, because I feel like Spanish. There's I don't know. There's some things I was getting confused with the English language, but and jugnu is a pretty cool word. It's like means firefly, and that's
No.
pretty much all I remember.
Oh my God. Now I'm going to remember that. Now all of
I
you are
know.
going to remember that. Jugnu. Ooh, I like
Yeah.
that. What's your favorite self-help book?
Ooh, God, there's so many good ones. Well, a book I'm reading right now that just came out by one of my favorite people, Rachel Rogers, who is
Yeah.
the founder and CEO of Hello 7. Her book is called We Should All Be Millionaires, helping women and people from marginalized groups build wealth. So, loving that book right now. If you are struggling with kind of like money mindset or feeling guilt around wanting more money, or you're not charging enough for your work, that kind of stuff, she will just crush that right out of you. It is an excellent book. So that's the one I'm currently reading. Some of the other ones that have made a big impact, The Four Tendencies with Gretchen Rubin, I felt was really good. I felt like it kind of gave language to why I did certain things. Like it kind of puts you in one of these boxes, so to speak, of like your personality type. Of course it's more fluid than that, but it made me realize why kind of like I need external accountability, why I tend to be able to show up for other people but not really show up for myself. So that was a really pivotal book at the time that I was about to launch my business, learning that. And the other one that was really helpful was Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass at Making Money. That was really good as I was starting my business. God, there's just so many awesome ones. The Artist's Way, what a classic.
Oh
If
yeah.
you heard that
I
by
think I heard about that.
Julia Cameron, right? Yeah. So there's just so many good ones.
What was the book that started the podcast, like the idea for the podcast? Was there a book that the three of you read that was like,
Actually, we all kind of just started with everybody, all the hosts of the Self Helpless podcast, we all had a different area that we really liked. I'm a big like minimalist, so I really like that type of lifestyle. My co-host Kelsey is very much into feng shui. Taylor was into like certain exercise or things like that. And so we just started kind of talking about the things that we were each individually passionate about and kind of teaching the others about that thing. So I think our very first episode was called First Self-Help Book. So we ended up kind of talking about that. And my very first self-help book I ever read was a book written by Greg Behrendt called it's called A Breakup Because It's Broken. And that is the first book. That's the first book, self-help book I read when I was going through a really horrible breakup in college. And he wrote it with his wife, Amira. So fun.
Are you comfortable talking about any spiritual stuff?
Sure, hit me.
Okay.
That's what this show's all about, right?
I know, right? What's sort of, I mean, it's now it's like I can understand given kind of just what you were exposed to in college, just studying, you know, like things like that. That seems like, was that sort of like your first sort of, I mean, I know you had been experiencing things or noticing things even as a little kid, and just kind of like, when did you kind of come back out, or have you come back out of the spiritual closet?
I'm still crawling out of the closet. Yeah, so as a kid, I would have, I don't know, just like, you know, inklings that something might happen, you know, like, I guess intuition. I would have really vivid dreams, and a lot of them would come true, which would really freak me out. Sometimes I would tell somebody about it before the thing came true, so they would know about it. And, you know, so it was this weird thing where, and this stuff was kind of openly talked about in my family too. Like my mom and aunt were always very spiritual. Like I remember going to like get my, you know, tarot card readings with my mom for fun and stuff like that. So it was just like a fun kind of cool activity that we would do. But before all of that, as a kid, I would just have like, you know, I'd have these dreams that were, you know, for me, I feel like when I have a dream that's just my brain processing information, it feels very differently. And then I'll have a dream that feels really vivid. And those are the kind of dreams I tend to pay attention to. So I don't know what the fuck that is, but but I did notice that as a kid. And then I kind of just pushed all that stuff away as I got older, which I think a lot of people do. And then only really recently in the last few years, unlearning a lot of things that I've been taught about just life in general, about work and about money and about, you know, what we're here to do. I kind of feel like the life that I've built for myself is very unconventional. And not because I like woke up one day and was like, I'm going to do the opposite of whatever the mainstream is. I just started noticing that the things that worked for me tend to be very different than what we are being told we should want and go after. And I think as I started kind of leaning more into that lifestyle, I started becoming more open to more of the spirituality stuff again, basically. Yeah. When I realized that not every path is, you know, the same.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's definitely been a struggle sort of. It's very much not mainstream and looked at a little strange, but ultimately it's like a big self-help thing, you know.
Absolutely. Like, it's an amazing tool. And I even, you know, since we've worked together, I've just kind of allowed myself to like be okay with it and be curious about it. Like if I have a weird dream, I'll be like, that's weird that I dreamt about this kid that I haven't seen or talked to since elementary school. I'm going to look him up and see what his deal is. Right.
Yeah.
I just allow myself to do those things where I don't know why I thought about this person just now. I don't know why I dreamt about this person or this situation. What if I just like look into it and see, and then go about my day? I kind of like that, instead of like blocking it off like this means nothing and just, you know, you're a weirdo.
No, I was telling somebody, sorry, Germaine. What I was just telling somebody, like, I teach my kids how to do psychic stuff or just how to exercise it. And I was like, and I said, I think we were like, of course, talking about my kids was one of the things I wasn't going to do, but whatever, it's fine. I'm not embarrassing. But like, I said something like, you know, if you want to use your psychic ability and you want to practice it and you want to cheat on a test, go right ahead, because it's not real. You know, I'm like, it's a pseudoscience. It's not real. So fucking take advantage of like everyone saying it's not real and use it, you know, like, yeah, sure. It's not real. No problem.
I was just gonna say, like, this year I've started listening to my like intuition more often. Like, cause what's the worst that can happen? Like, I mean, I usually get like thoughts and stuff like, oh, you're about to miss your exit. And when I was younger, I remember the first time getting that, not knowing where it came from, thinking that's stupid. And this is back when you had to print out directions. So I was like, that's stupid. I'm fine. But like, yeah, if I miss my exit, or if I don't miss my exit, then I get to my destination. So, that's something small, but like bigger stuff. This year, I've started listening to it
Yeah.
instead of thinking, oh, like, where did that thought come from? And it's fake, and gotta accept it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. That's similar. What I do now is I just don't question if something doesn't feel right. I don't try to push myself to do it or like, talk myself into something. I'd be like, this doesn't feel right to me. And that's a good enough reason to just not do it or
Yeah.
go this other direction. And I used to talk myself into things, by telling myself that no, it'll be great because X, Y, and Z, or like, and anytime I haven't listened to my gut or my intuition, it turns out like, yeah, I should have fucking listened to myself.
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to get here at some point, and now I have to go back and do that thing that I wanted to do in the first place. So yeah, I'm just very open to strengthening that. I noticed that also just with business too. I started doing things that just felt good for me and it was working. And a lot of them were kind of going against a lot of quote unquote best practices in, the entrepreneurship space, and realized that I wanted to invest, with Jen in actually strengthening my own intuition to help me make better business decisions too, because there's so much noise out there and there's so many different methods and tools and tactics and all this stuff. It's hard to hear yourself think, and not every method is going to be the right fit for you. So I started just saying, you know what, like, I'm not looking at a lot of this stuff anymore. What do I want to do? What do I want my business to look like? What if what I build becomes a blueprint that somebody else might want to model after over and it hasn't been done before? We
Yeah.
just don't know. So I started going inward a lot more, was once I got very overwhelmed by all the information out there. And then that's what I help my clients do too. I said, don't look at my shit, like, you can absolutely take what you want that feels good, that you like from my business model, but let's build something that's so unique to you that it wouldn't make sense for anybody else, because it's completely built around your skills and your interests and your needs and your business. So I love the fact that out of all my clients, nobody has similar stuff. Everybody is so different and so unique, and they're all thriving because it's it's just part of them. Their business is a part of them. So I've really liked that a lot.
That's beautiful, because it's like even just what you were saying about like just allowing yourself to not sort of second guess, or really kind of, I always feel like giving something or someone the benefit of the doubt is like the worst thing you can do. But we've been encouraged to accept that, it's like,
Right.
no, you should doubt it.
Yeah.
You feel like,
Right.
Yeah. Jen knows I'm the king of giving the benefit of the doubt for years. And then I'm surprised at the end the people are who I've been told they are. So
Yeah.
And I've learned you can't, I don't have to give everybody the benefit of the doubt.
We
Like,
should be
doubt
giving
it.
ourselves the benefit of the doubt, and that's always
Ooh,
the one
yeah.
person we don't.
Mhm. Yes.
Oh my gosh, so true.
True.
So true. Yeah, I've kind of learned like, okay, if something kind of weird happens like the first time with somebody, I might say like, this might be an isolated incident or this might be a pattern. I'm going to need some more information to know which one is which, and I just kind of proceed with caution until I figure that shit out.
Exactly.
Oh my
And
God.
that's why I call people associates instead of just. And like when I say that, and I know like Jen and other people, like they laugh at it, but no, it's like, you're not a stranger, you're not a friend, you're an associate.
Oh
Until
my
I
God, that's
can
incredible.
figure out where to put you. So
I prefer
love
junior
that.
manager.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Like, you're the intern of my life. So we're
Exactly. I just met you last week, so.
I love the idea of interns.
Oh, that's
I
so
love it.
funny.
Like just in social relationships.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's interning to.
Interning. It's unpaid. But it's for the experience, you know.
Yes.
She's building her friendship resume. You
Oh,
need
gosh,
some. You
that's
need
so
some.
funny. I love that.
There's a lot of photocopying involved.
Yeah, it's great. Wow, what a great way to put that. Yeah. Yeah, we actually should. We should treat our space like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's funny. Like even Germaine, when you were just talking about it, because he and I worked in corporate America,
Mhm.
corporate Germany, I should say. But still, like it's like it, and there was always such a big deal about titles. Like,
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
you cannot be a manager in this company unless you have a master's degree, or like, you know, like it
Right.
was, you know. And God, I hated that. And I was like, well, I remember saying to one of our coworkers, I was like, well, my previous job, I was a director of operations. And the person was like, yeah, but that was for like a medium-sized company. And I was
Oh my
like,
God. Oh, good Lord.
oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people who can't see, I'm kind of like punching, but it's okay. Happy thoughts.
Yeah.
Good. It's all
Yeah,
good.
right.
Yeah.
Like,
All good. Own journeys. Their own
we're
journeys.
having flashbacks now.
I know. Oh
Yeah.
God. It's true. We're getting
I
triggered.
also worked in corporate for quite some time, and yeah, not a good fit. If anybody's surprised, the lady who drew dicks on coffee mugs wasn't a fit for corporate America. But yeah, no,
Not a fit.
I worked in several kind of corporate environments, and one was particularly rough. And I remember when I needed to put my notice in, I was like, I am half a second away from calling somebody the C word. It's time to go. You know what I
Oh
mean? Like where
yeah,
you're just so on edge. Like if somebody even looks at me the wrong way,
yeah.
I am going to get fired for something really bad.
My God.
So yeah, I definitely had my
You had
my
your.
stints in those areas for sure.
Would you say a lot of the people who you work with are people who are trying to pivot out of those careers?
Oh, good question. I feel like there's a really big mix of people in my circle, different jobs and stuff. My husband works in corporate. He's a finance person.
Mhm.
Whatever. I don't understand what he does. Numbers
He
and
presses
data
buttons and there's
spreadsheets.
yes. Yeah.
And then, but I also have like, you know, my very close friends like Taylor and Kelsey from Self Helpless, who are, you know, full-time performers. And I also have my friends that, you know, I've known since I was a teenager, and, you know, one's an art teacher and one works in insurance. And like, I have teachers in my family. I have, you know, I kind of all over the place. I would say it's more conventional jobs are in my space than unconventional.
Okay. Yeah.
But I have examples of what unconventional jobs and lifestyles look like now. And I didn't really have that until I got older though.
Yeah. That's so important to just see it
Mhm.
out there. I feel like if we had known even in college, like God, that would have been I would have saved so much money. God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think really, yeah, once I started getting into stand up, those are the first experiences I was like, "Oh wow, like people can make money doing this?" Like that's so weird, you know. I wasn't really I didn't have any clear examples of that growing up. So I took a very conventional path
Yeah.
up until, you know, I became an adult and started seeing other things.
Who are your favorite comedians besides your friends?
Yeah, like, so many of my friends are my favorites. Love Tig Notaro.
Yes.
Okay.
One of my favorites. God, there's so many. Hannibal Buress. Oh my gosh. Uh, Honestly, some of my friends are my favorites. Like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Taylor and Kelsey, and one of my buddies, JC Carias, is hilarious. There's just so many. There's so many people. But I
Yeah.
would say the first person I ended up seeing perform that felt like, oh, I felt like that feels like my voice in a lot of ways. Not in a way where like we're doing the same thing, but I felt connected to that performer was Tig. Just her
nice.
overall her energy, and yeah, just the way that her delivery and stuff. I felt like, oh, this is kind of how I feel when I'm on stage, what is being shown here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Delanie, so it's been so amazing having you on. I'm so grateful that you made time to come and talk to us.
Oh
Thank you.
yeah. You guys are
And
great.
yeah,
This
like
is awesome.
we like to keep it flowy,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
hair, you know,
Yes.
like sweat,
Long armpit hair.
long arm.
I have a
Yeah.
question for you guys, if that's
Yeah.
cool.
Of course.
No.
What are some of your favorite like whether self-help books or resources or like daily routine type of stuff that you do? I know obviously like Germaine has great tips about nail polish and shit. What other kind of like fun, I don't know, tips and
Yeah.
stuff maybe? I love
Well,
that.
I'm really trying to get into meditate. Well, I did meditate for a while, and it's like I have to stick to it. But like meditation is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have what I have like reminders on my phone of like, you know, I am spiritual, so like there's some Bible verses that help me get through some tough times in the corporate world, um, that I would read every morning, and I still read. And also from meditation, there was one from what's his name? Deepak Chopra. Is that
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Deepak? Right. So, um, sorry, I just want to
Oh
quote
yeah.
it correctly.
I love quotes. I love verses.
Oh yeah,
Throw
that's
them all
right.
at me.
Self Helpless podcast. You start every episode with a quote.
We love a good quotable,
Right.
baby.
So, and this was a 21-day so it's a 21-day thing. Every morning you look at a video, it lasts about 20 minutes. And out of that whole 21 days, the one thing that I wanted to keep from it, it was I create my personal abundance from an infinite source. And that source can be anything. And for me, it was God. So like I have that in my phone with God in parentheses. So that kind of helps me start my morning.
Love it.
Then there's also some greenery that helps.
Little greenery.
A little greenery. I'm
Little
not
medical.
sure if that's your thing.
Oh, I dabble.
Okay. But that's
Yes.
but yeah, but Jen, you?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm so bad at reading. But I don't have any. I mean, there was one book just about intuition. I think I may have sent it to you,
Oh,
Delanie.
the goddess warrior goddess.
Oh no,
one?
not that. There was a different one. Oh, hold please.
Oh, that's cool.
This book, this was really helpful. Mindset.
Ooh.
Mindset by Carol Dweck. I actually read that when I was
nice.
working, and it was really helpful. It basically talks about just like two different kinds of mindsets: a fixed and I'm gonna
Growth,
fuck it up,
fixed
but
and growth mindset.
exactly. And it kind of goes into what that is and what that means. So like
Love
if
it.
someone says, oh, you did that wrong, here is how you can do it right. If you spend the time kind of beating yourself like I did it wrong, that's kind of like a fix. And then you kind of get really obsessed with that part of it, as opposed to like, okay, I did it wrong, so let me figure out how I can do it right, and just kind of keeping things flexible in your mindset.
I love that. That's actually fixed versus growth mindset is a topic I want to discuss on Self Helpless soon.
Yeah.
So I didn't
Mindset is a
realize
great
it originated probably from that book.
Yeah, that's where it came from. When did it come out? It's old.
I'm gonna write that down so I don't.
For
forget.
some reason, whenever I call something old, I always want to say balls after. It's old balls.
Make it
2006. I know it's a thing. 2006. And then the other one that I really like is Nonviolent Communication.
Ooh.
It's by Marshall Rosenberg, who is no longer with us, but it's very difficult to explain. It's like if you read the book, it's very dense, and it is about kind of like how to communicate in a way that's nonviolent, and it talks about how much in our language is violent. And it's like it's a word that you wouldn't even think about, but just the kind of words that we use. And there's also really a great chart of like a feelings inventory, and just helps you like identify your feelings and things like that. It was really helpful to me in the past. And the reason why like I don't order books at all. I had a session with a psychic, Jennifer Jean, who I absolutely love. I'm gonna have her on the podcast too. Cool. I spoke to her on Monday, and I was like, can you talk to my guides, because they're not picking up. Like I'm not I'm just not, I'm very blocked in terms of like psychic work and lately. And my guides told her to recommend getting The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley, which I've never read, because it's basically the Bible for all like dude bros, like the Joe Rogans, the Duncan Trustles. Like it's like, because it's all like the psychedelic dude bro spiritual path. There's like a group of them.
Yeah.
So like that's their thing, because it's all about psychedelics and kind of like what that opens up. So the guides, so I was supposed to do that. I'm like, but I don't really read. And they're like, just open it and put your finger on a spot during the day, and then like that's what you're supposed to read, but don't worry about like you can bounce around. I'm like, yep, those are my guides. They know me.
Get me moving.
The weird reason why I brought this over is because I just ordered it from Amazon, and I don't think, and you can't see obviously, but the book I ordered is like someone literally photocopied it. It's huge, and like the printing is bad, and it's off, and it's like there's no like year or publishing or anything. Like I literally think someone printed it out of their printer and like bound it at home, and like fucking weird. Amazon. God,
that is so weird.
I was like, I don't want to read this. I know. I know.
Get your money back.
But I'm like,
I wonder if it's the right book. I
know. I'm not reading this.
I
was like, how do I know that this is the actual book? There's literally like made in Delaware. That's
I don't know.
There's no like Library of Congress registration, no ISBN, like whatever.
Jean from Delaware took it upon herself to start just rewriting all the classics, the greatest hits on Amazon. Oh no. One of those quarantine hobbies gone wrong.
Fucking Prime. Drawing me in with Prime. Exactly. I can get it tomorrow, but Jean's the one who's profiting.
Jean's delivering it.
Yeah. Who's her business coach?
Me.
The lady, I'm so happy to talk to you. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
We're so happy to have you on, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you again to come on in a couple of months, and just like let us know how things are going. And I'll leave all the information for everybody. But the Self Helpless podcast and Eficionado. Do yourselves a favor, please. And there's also a YouTube channel. So, and obviously 4 years of content, 4 or 5 years of content.
something around, long time. Basically a college degree that we do not have to show for anything. Yes.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. And, this was really fun, and best of luck with the podcast.
Hey. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I know we had so much fun recording it. You can find Delanie at DelanieFischer.com. That's FISCHER.com. She offers so many free goodies on her website. Please check it out. You can sign up to her D-list for tools and tips. Though I worked with Delanie for spiritual mentorship, she's taught me so much, honestly, about being open to life, open to different paths, and especially open to like changing it up, I highly, highly recommend catching her on her podcasts, which are crazy entertaining, super relatable, and incredibly smart and informative. Again, Self Helpless. She also it's on YouTube as well. Please don't forget to rate us if you're hearing this on a platform that allows it. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to catch up on our first season. We'd love to hear from you. Find us on Instagram at the Self Consciousness Podcast. And just go ahead and slide into our DMs anytime. Have a great week, you guys.